Hello, everyone. So, we are going to be talking about traditional Chinese medicine. I know we've been talking about Ayurveda, yoga, functional medicine, but we've been ignoring traditional Chinese medicine. So, we wanted to bring a licensed acupuncturist, Dr. Antonika. She has been a licensed acupuncturist for many years, and she focuses on different type of health ailments. Welcome, Dr. Antonika.
Thank you, Amita, for allowing me to have this opportunity to speak to you and your community. It is my passion to share with others around the country, around the world, what Chinese medicine can do for us, because it is a complete medical system that many of us are not very familiar with. And so it's such an honor to be here to chat with you.
Great, great. So let's just start with your story. What exactly led you to Chinese medicine?
I love talking about my story because I feel like it can relate to a lot of women who are out there. At a very young age, I grew up in the military, and it was the military that kind of gave me the security that I needed in order to just live life, the way that I should, in a healthy way, because we had medical care. By the time I had gotten to, college years and moved out of the house and kind of was living on my own, I found it very difficult to kind of like get the medical care that I needed, because I didn't have the insurance. I didn't have all those things that society was saying that we needed. And so I started to experience some negative health challenges that were really impacting me in a way that were preventing me from living my authentic self. And so I was going to doctors' offices and getting synthetic medication to help me alleviate the issue, but it never really got to the root cause. The symptoms kept on coming back. And so I took a leap of faith and decided that I needed to do something about myself as an individual, a single woman, and start a career. And so I knew that the military was really the only way for me to go in order to get off on that step up in life. And while I was in the military, I started to get really involved with my health, and I realized that it still wasn't happening for me. And so I met someone who ended up being a very good friend of mine, who introduced me to Chinese medicine, and I was asking him questions about my health journey. And he says, why don't you give it a try? And Amita, the first time I tried acupuncture, it was a eureka moment for me. And I kept on going for 2 years, and a girl who was treating me at this facility that I was going to on a regular basis was just about to step into her practice, and she gave me this rock, and it said, imagine. She says, Antonika, you've come such a far, long ways from where you were to where you are right now. Your testimony, your experience with Chinese medicine has been phenomenal. She gave me a rock. She said, imagine. It said, imagine on it. And she says, imagine if you took a leap of faith and you changed the course of your life, and you became a Chinese medicine practitioner. Imagine all the lives you can change. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like magic. This is like something I could never do. Nobody in my family is a doctor. And she says, well, the universe just speaks to us in different ways. And so 3 weeks later, I was in Chinese medicine school. And since then, I have been traveling all over the world on world-class cruise ships, educating and helping people achieve optimal health holistically in a very short period of time. And I've been helping people who have not been able to get the help that they need from, medical professionals back at home. And so I continue to, move forward in that direction, because I see that people's lives are changing every single day with this ancient medicine.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very inspiring story, incredible story. So let's just understand, like you said earlier, Chinese medicine is a full medical system, and it's similar to what we've been talking a lot about Ayurveda, yoga, and there's a lot of similarities, right, in the Chinese medicine with Qigong, Tai Chi. So let's just try to understand about Chinese medicine.
Yes, I mean, that's right. It is very similar because it comes from that part of the world, Chinese medicine. So we're talking about an ancient medicine that's been around for thousands of years, okay? And it's based on an energy system that all of us possess. There's something that beats our heart, that makes our heart beat, and it's that qi, it's that vital force that we all innately have. And so Chinese medicine is a branch of 5 different modalities. And first we start with acupuncture, which is what many people are familiar with. It's moving the energy, moving the blood, moving the breath, the qi, based on specific acupuncture points throughout the body. And then there's things like, massage therapy. This is when we use things like tuina, gua sha to move the blood. These are home care solutions that we can do to help us get results in between acupuncture treatments. And then we have something called herbal formulas, or herbology. And herbology is such a vast and deep understanding of all of the herbs that are out there, from the dandelions that you see on the side of the sidewalk to, moxa, which we're probably unfamiliar with because we've never even heard of it, to 45,000 different herbs, single herbs, that are used in combination with each other to help match the pattern of deficiency that the patient is experiencing or that anyone is experiencing. And then we also have things called food therapy. Many people relate to food therapy as nutritional therapy, having the right kind of vitamins and minerals and supplements. But really, we break it down to a way of eating according to the seasons, eating according to, your deficiencies, and making sure that you're not having too much of one thing, because as you and I both know, too much of one thing can cause disharmony as well. So we have food therapy, and then we also have exercise therapy. So in Ayurveda, we would use yoga. In Chinese medicine, it would be things like Qigong, Tai Chi, which is also a manifestation of moving the breath, like in yoga. It's taking the time out to practice being in the moment and being here and moving that Qi. Qigong is the mother of acupuncture. And so we say in Chinese medicine that when you have mastered Qigong, you no longer need acupuncture, because it is the Qigong that moves the blood. And so those are the 5 branches of Chinese medicine. And we take that whole entire system and we incorporate it into our lifestyle. We incorporate it into our daily life, and we start to adopt these practices to achieve optimal health. Now, it is a lifelong practice, but so is Ayurveda and so is yoga. So is this type of medicine. And so we're basically taking the ancient text and we're absorbing it, we're embracing it, and we're understanding how our feelings, how our personalities, how our body is also in tune with nature. And that is exactly what our medicine does for us. It helps us become back in tune with where we've come from.
I think it's fascinating, and the similarities are so clear, right, between Ayurveda and acupuncture. And I use acupuncture regularly. I use it as a preventive healthcare for myself. And I can completely attest to what you're saying. It's like a eureka moment, once you get the acupuncture done. You're like, I have all kind of problems, my skin coming out, my frozen shoulder. Amazing experience using acupuncture and Chinese formulas. So let's just come to know how Chinese medicine can help specifically for women's health.
This is a great question, and I want to address this from a very foundational perspective. Many might think that, okay, if I get acupuncture, if I take this herb and I eat this food, then everything's going to be okay. Well, I kind of want to share how whenever we experience any type of negative health condition or a deficiency, that deficiency has taken some time to occur. And it's because of our lifestyle practices, our habits. It's from not knowing what we don't know. And then it's about understanding the patterns that our body is going through. So in Chinese medicine, we have several different patterns. We relate them, we call them, these patterns are things that are like too much heat, too much dampness, too much, or maybe excessive sleep or not enough sleep. And when we identify the symptoms, the patterns, then we are able to identify what herbal formulas are going to help us bring us back into balance. And so, for example, if someone is dealing with fibroids, for example, many women are recommended to just have them removed or have them, because that's like the only way. But in fact, we can detoxify the body. We can clean up our internal system so that way all of our organs work efficiently, clean up the blood supply, and then eventually reduce the size of that tumor and even have it disappear. Now, there are certain cases where we do need Western medical help when maybe that fibroid has gotten way too big and we actually need to have medical intervention. But in most cases, there are thousands and thousands of studies and texts on the efficacy of Chinese medicine for people who are dealing with those types of challenges. Another example is women who are experiencing very painful periods. We shouldn't have to experience painful periods. Our menstruation, our cycle is a time for us to be rested, relaxing, and just being quiet and just really becoming in tune with our body, because that cycle is an evolution process. It's us, becoming more aware of who we are. And we go through that process of shedding every single month. And over time, when we get to the stages of menopause, we are also transforming spiritually as well as physically. And so things that we can do to help improve our cycle, to help improve the way that we feel during that time of year or that time of month, is obviously eating the right kinds of foods that are going to nourish the blood. For example, things like goji berries are really significant in helping us improve that. And also maybe even seed cycling. There's a lot of information going around, a lot of practitioners talking about the efficacy of seed cycling, and that can really help over the long term promote very positive hormonal changes and adjustments.
Sure. So now what my question is, women go through like 3 different stages, right? So starting from menstruation, and then we are going through fertility, when we are popping babies out, and then there's obviously postpartum, which is not a simple thing, and then the perimenopause, the menopause, right? So let's just on a very high level talk about these 3 different stages particularly. So we didn't talk about the fertility part. I know acupuncture has ton of research on having women getting pregnant with success, right? So talk to us a little bit about the fertility part as well.
Yeah, fertility is such a prized opportunity for us women to be able to give birth and to create a child and bring in this process of evolving and making the world a better place just by giving birth to these kids that are going to carry on with our legacy. And fertility is something that oftentimes worries a lot of women because we are getting older and we're not sure if we can have children at maybe 40 years old. But to be honest, there are a lot of people who are having children in their 40s. And, it's all about understanding how we feel and where we are in our health and how we're eating. And so when we're talking about fertility, some of the challenges are a woman's womb or the reproductive area could be overheating. It could be too much heat. It could be too damp. There could be a lot of different patterns that are going on. And the cause of those kinds of conditions could be stress. It could be overworked. It could be, a variety of things. Because look at our environment or where we're at right now. In our culture, we are created and we are raised to have a 9-to-5 job, to work. But by the time we get to 40 years old, we're like thinking, oh no, I want to have a kid. But then maybe we're still single and we want to maybe just do it on our own. Well, these things kind of like defy nature. We want to have someone there to help us, bring in that child, but also help take off the load of the stress and the negative environment that's causing us to have these challenges. And so we have to really, kick it into full gear by bringing the body back into balance, by moving the blood and using acupuncture to help calm the mind and a bunch of other patterns that are causing us to have this imbalance. So really, ultimately, it's an imbalance in the body. And when we can balance the body with proper nutrition, with Chinese medicine, with home care, then we are going to achieve success in fertility. So from like a very layman's term understanding, this is where we need to begin. And then once you start getting treatment, your TCM practitioner, who is a specialist in fertility and gynecology, will then be able to explain how this works in a very intricate detail.
Sure. So no, I think this is very fascinating. So we hear a lot about qi, right? The word qi. So explain us in a simple way. I mean, we know qi means energy, and then you talked about a little bit about dampness and the heat. So explain us these concepts a little bit in Chinese medicine. What exactly happens in a body?
I love it. This is a great question because qi is not just one thing. It's a variety of different things. Qi transforms. Qi transforms into gu qi. Gu qi is like food qi, the energy from the earth. Then it also transforms into the prana, the air, the breath. It turns into blood, so it turns into substances. But it's actually the life, the life essence, the frequency, the power that brings us into creation. And so we can't see it, we can't smell it, we can't touch it, but we know that it's there because it's that energy, it's that system that creates all things. So when we go outside and we see the grass growing, we go and see, the trees growing, we see the wind blowing, all that is moved by qi. But qi is also described in many different ways, and it transforms. It transforms through our body. It transforms into thought. And so in order to have purifying thoughts, in order to have, to think, with clarity, we want to provide our body, our cellular structure with nutritive qi. things that are going to nourish us and things that are going to give us, and just very clean energy, so that way all of our organs are working efficiently.
I see. And then that's being done by inserting the needles, like the thin needles when acupuncture session, and then supplementing that with the Chinese herbs. I mean, is that right? That's kind of how it's done, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the needles are as thin as a strand of hair. So those who are a little afraid of acupuncture, just know that it's such a relaxing experience. It releases endorphins. It helps, calm down the neurotransmitters. It helps increase serotonin levels. It has a variety of different things that it does when it's entered into the skin. Now, when that needle goes through, there is like an electrical current that initiates. Sometimes you might feel a very strong impulse on a point, for example, like LI4, which is in between the thumb and the index finger. A lot of us who are thinkers, who are feeling, very overworked, or we're very cerebral, this is a powerful point. So even by pressing it with our fingers and giving ourselves a little massage here, we can feel a little bit of like discomfort, a little tension. Imagine a needle going into that point, it's going to give a very strong, and sensation. That is chi. That is energy moving. That is your body directing itself to move the blood that's coagulated, that's been, consumed, that's been coagulated there, to move. And so the needle helps us direct. It's just a tool. But there are other ways to treat someone besides using needles. We can use a tool called Shoni Shin. I don't have it here to share with you, but Shoni Shin are different types of tools that are used, and we just kind of like move the tool or up and down the acupuncture points. Oftentimes it's used for children, okay? And we move the points up and down, and then we also use another tool that goes in between the fingers, because the hand is a microsystem of the entire body. We can use our hand, in Korean acupuncture, they use a lot of the hand, okay? And also the ears is a microsystem of the entire body. So when we stimulate these points, using the Shoni Shin, using these tools, we are stimulating the acupuncture points, and these points can be learned so we can use them, in practice at home. And then also using things like gua sha therapy and moxa. Moxa is a practice that uses mugwort, and mugwort is an herb that is used on acupuncture points to help move the blood and to move the energy, to heighten our ability to just feel better, to raise our chi, to raise our energy, our vibration. And so acupuncture is not the only way to achieve this, but it is probably one of the most successful ways to achieve this. But there's always another solution for those who are afraid of needles.
Sure. And acupressure is something that, we can try at home, right? These are like doing pressure somewhere here. So something that you think we can give demo to our viewers when they watch this video, using something that they can do self-care at home?
Yeah, sure. So, when you're at home, there are some very important points that you can use. I'm going to show you on my little mannequin here. Stomach 36 is an acupuncture point that is on our leg here, and it's just about a 1 hand's length from beneath the knee and to the side here. So we can, lay on when we're sleeping, or probably even after a meal, when we're watching television, and just start to massage that side of the leg, and that's stomach 36. And by activating this, you're activating the stomach channel, and that stomach channel is related to the stomach meridian, but it's also related to other meridians too. And all of those meridians are connected to all of our organs. So just by massaging that on a daily basis is going to help stimulate the stomach channel. Other things that we can do is we can massage our ears. Okay. This is like the woo-saw point. Ever seen that movie, Anger Management?
Oh yeah.
Adam Sandler's like massaging his ears. It's a real thing. Okay. We have a point up here in the apex of our ear. It's called shenmen. Oftentimes, practitioners will put a needle there, and they'll massage that point. And you can massage that point, and it helps just bring, that hypertension down. It helps calm the mind. And then you've got the ear. The ear is a microsystem of the entire body. This is the head. This is the back, and then you have the butt. Inside the ear is the inner concha, where all the major organs are, and that's where we'll put acupuncture points if someone's dealing with stress, or wanting to get over smoking, or has some type of addiction. We use those points, but literally everything can be treated from just using the ear. And so massaging the points of the ear is very helpful. Using gua sha, there's a lot of practitioners that I've seen on social media who really embrace gua sha and who are showing people how to use gua sha therapy. And gua sha therapy is literally using a stone, a jade stone, and massaging the face very lightly. What we're doing here is we are activating the acupuncture points that are on the face and also the reflexology points on the face as well. Everything can be treated here on the face. So that's why, you know, in Chinese medicine, we have a diagnostic tool called facial diagnosis. And based on how your face looks, where the wrinkles are, how the eyes sit, how the eyebrows sit, we can see a lot about your health. We can say, oh, you know, you must have a very stressful life because I can tell by your face you have certain wrinkles here and here. And, you know, let's talk about, you know, what does work life look like for you? Because that can in the future indicate, you know, chances of potential heart disease or, you know, elevated blood pressure. And so just by looking at the face, we can change that. And when we take a picture of the face from day one, and over the course of time, maybe 3 to 6 months, we take another picture after acupuncture treatments and Chinese medicine therapies, you will see that the face will start to change. And this is I remember I was in a class once and one of my doctors was saying, Dr. Cameron Bishop, actually, to be accurate, he says that he likes to look at prisoners or people who go to mugshots. He likes to look at mugshots because if you see somebody's mugshot and they're perpetually going to jail, if you look at their face, it constantly changes. Their shen, their spirit is changing. And so the same thing happens for us human beings who are going through a health change, a transformation. We see it right in our face. So massaging the face.
Massaging the face, yeah.
Massaging the face using gua sha. You don't even have to have gua sha, but, you know, squeezing the eyebrows here, okay, is going to be very beneficial for eyesight. Massaging yin tong here is very beneficial for calming the mind, for things like sinuses or nasal congestion. Pushing right into these points right here is very effective as well. And then tapping or even massaging or tapping the chin is going to activate the kidneys.
Oh, wow.
Very important point. And we can just do this. We can do this when we're at work, when we're sitting in front of the computer, just tapping and then massaging our ears. Yeah. All great ways to just incorporate that into your daily life.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I mean, we need to have another session with you on so many other beautiful things. Like I wanted to talk about tongue diagnosis, but I think we need to do that next time when we do that. And anyone has any questions? I know we just did this session on impromptu. So, but anyone after watching this video, if you have any questions, let us know. And then we are coming up with the program also with Dr. Antonika. So we will let you know about the wellness program as well. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up today?
I just want to share with everyone that, you know, there are many ways that you can find a great practitioner. I'm here to be an advocate of the practice, but whenever you're finding a Chinese medicine practitioner, you want to make sure that they're board certified. And what I mean by that is that they've gone to Chinese medicine school. It's never the same when you go to a medical professional who says, oh, I did a course in acupuncture and I can do acupuncture on you, because it is a full system that requires years and years of study. And even after Chinese medicine school, we're still learning because we're going through CEU courses, continuing education courses. And so you're going to get the best results when you're working with somebody who is a doctor of Oriental medicine or who is a board certified licensed acupuncturist. And those people can be found through a website called AcuFinder, or maybe even looking up acupuncturetoday.com. These are really great resources and periodicals that you can start with if you're looking to understand a symptom or syndrome or condition, or looking for a TCM practitioner in your city or state.
Sure. And if someone hasn't tried acupuncture, you must try it at least once to feel the difference. And you know, I have tried. I use it, like I said, every couple of months I get mine for prevention. But it's fascinating and amazing what acupuncture can do for you, as we have been talking about in women's health and some of the other things. With that, I'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Antonika, for being with us. Namaste, and beautiful and amazing.